Hi, this is Marsha.
And this is Kelly.
We are the 2U's of 2U's Fiber Adventures. Thanks for stopping by.
You'll hear about knitting, spinning, dyeing, crocheting, and just about anything else we can think of as a way to play with string.
We blog and post show notes at 2usfiberadventures.com.
And we invite you to join our 2U's Fiber Adventures group on Ravelry. I'm 100 Projects.
And I am Better in Motion.
We're both on Instagram and Ravelry, and we look forward to meeting you there.
Enjoy the episode. Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Marsha. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Much
So
better.
am I.
Much better now. I don't know if I told you, but I got sick last week.
Oh.
I had a fever of 101 and really tired and kind of a cottony coughing throat kind of thing. I think I just had a old-fashioned cold.
Oh my gosh.
Or something. But I did test twice to see if it was COVID, but I'm fine. But I've not been sick since March of 2020.
Yeah.
I think it was, I don't know, it seemed like it was pretty quick for a cold. I don't know what it was, but anyway, but I did test and I did not have COVID, so I'm back. But my brother is sick. Mark is sick right now. I've been bringing him, I brought him some milk today, and he's on the road to recovery, but I think I got him sick, honestly. But anyway.
And you were only sick for a couple of days because you've been gone to the beach, right?
Yeah, I had an unexpected trip to the Oregon coast with my friend Kim. She was going to go. She and her sister typically go together, but her sister canceled. So she asked if I could go, and I couldn't go on Saturday because I was having my party Sunday. So I went on Monday, and I just went down. Excuse me. I said I was feeling better, but now suddenly I'm getting kind of croaky. I just went for 2 nights, and it was nice. But I was kind of worried if I was able to do that too, and I felt fine. So,
well, that's good. Well, we went camping in between the last episode and this one.
Yes,
we went
I saw the pictures.
camping, and we had a great time. It was, I don't know. Well, I don't know why I made it for 3 nights because I felt like it was way too short. But it actually worked out fine because my sister texted me that they were going to be down from Camas and she needed a place to stay on Saturday night, and we were arriving home on Friday. So if we had booked an additional night, we would have been gone when she came down to pick up the kids to bring them up to Camas, and then we would have been gone when she came down to drop off the kids. And I would have missed her. I would have missed her both ways. But this time we got to visit. But let me tell you about the things in order. We had gone to this campground in Fremont, which, as you know, is where I grew up.
Right.
And is adjacent to a regional park called Coyote Hills. And my mom and Dennis found it. It is recently opened. It opened in like summer of 2021 or fall of 2021. And so it hasn't been open all that long. And so we had gone, my mom and Dennis camped there. Their last trip with their RV I want to say it was either last fall or early spring. And we had gone just for the day. We didn't camp with them because we were trying to sell our trailer. Robert had gotten the new truck, the ridiculous truck, right?
Yeah, right. Which I love. So,
which is even just a small aside. That truck is even more ridiculous now because he has these rock guards on it.
Oh yes, I saw the picture of those.
Trailer, so that nothing will hit the trailer. And unfortunately, they didn't come in time to be installed for our trip up to Black Sheep Gathering. And he did have something kick up, some piece of metal that was in the road kicked up and put a little dent in the bottom of one of the panels. Anyway, so now he has these rock guards, and I swear they're like a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch thick. of rubber, and it hangs down all the way practically to the ground from the fender and all the way across and sticks out about, I don't know, I want to say like 6 inches from the side of the truck on either side. I mean, it's,
wow.
If the truck wasn't big enough already.
So are
now
those
it has
going to be
these
on there?
fins sticking out the side.
Are they going to be on there all the time, or do you just put them on when you pull the trailer?
Well, they're a little difficult to get on and off. Once he put them on, now that he's put them on and they're all, like when you first put them on, you have to assemble them as you get them on. And then once they're all, you don't assemble them first and then put them on. You put them on piece by piece until they're assembled. So now that they're assembled, I think that getting them on and off would be a little bit easier than his original installation, where, you know, not only was he installing them, but they had to be assembled at the same time. So I'm hoping that at least in the off season, you know, if we know we don't have a camping trip coming up, that they can come off. But I don't know. I think his plan is to keep them on because he thought it was difficult to get them on and off.
Yeah.
So,
at least they don't have naked women on them.
Right. No naked women.
For our listeners outside the United States, I don't know if that's a thing in other parts of the country, but that's kind of a thing. Mud flaps always have a naked woman on them, or a Playboy bunny on them, or something.
Yeah. Some demeaning
some demeaning thing,
demeaning silhouette of a woman on the back of the mud flaps.
Yeah.
No, these are solid black. And they go all the way across the trailer. So they're not just in front of the back wheels. They actually go, not trailer, the truck. So they actually go all the way across the truck. Anyway, they're ridiculous too. but I guess they serve a purpose, because I saw the damage. It wasn't a big dent that and we ended up with, but it was it was damage that, you know, you don't want. So,
no.
Anyway, I think I lost track of what I was going to say.
So you're talking about the campground.
Oh, how did I get onto the truck? Anyway, it doesn't matter. So we stayed at this campground in Fremont, and I said it was a new campground. So, but the plantings are really interesting because they've pretty much done native plantings, although I did see some things that looked like they were Australian, drought tolerant, and not native. But a lot of native plants and a wide variety of native plants in through the campground. The trees are all really young. The plants are all small, relatively small. And then you can tell they've planted them like with grass, with native grasses as a way to protect the plants as they're growing. Because right now, since the plants are small, these native grasses are kind of growing up through the plant. And then those will eventually be, you know, overtaken by the plant. So interesting. And then there was a hillside where you could see that they had done some planting on the hillside too. So Robert and I were saying, you know, well, it will be fun to see this campground. Talk about mortality. We said it would be fun to see this campground kind of grow into, you know, fully leafed out trees and, you know, mature trees and stuff. And then it was like, all right, so in 20 years, I'll be 80. I can picture myself still camping at 80 because my mom's still camping at 82. But 20 years is not all that long. 30 years from now, I'll be 90. I don't know. I don't know if I'll see fully mature trees in this particular campground. So, but it is a really interesting campground, and I went and read a little bit about it. And this is the part that I thought was really cool so it's right next to what was Coyote Hills Regional Park, what is Coyote Hills Regional Park. And they have a visitor center where the Ohlone Indians have like cultural museums and outdoor parks, and they do events and things. But this part of that land, and it's right next to the bay, like Southeast Bay, not south all the way to San Jose, but you know, the southern part of the East Bay, right on the bay, behind the hills, because there's little tiny hills. So anyway, it was a quarry. And the website said that the quarry had been in operation from the 1950s through 2007. And then, so when the quarry was done, this is what the website said. It said, quarrying changed a 190-foot hill, and that's about the height of the hills. So the campground is kind of behind these hills, small hills. So the quarrying changed a 190-foot hill into a pit, 22 acres across and 320 feet below sea level at its deepest point, making it the lowest human-made elevation in North America. I thought that was really interesting. That doesn't seem very deep to be the lowest human-made elevation in North America, but I guess because it started at sea level, basically it's a hole at sea level. So however far down you go, where maybe most other quarries are sort of up from sea level a little bit. So then they filled it. So when they were done in 2007, they decided to fill it. And they filled it. It says the quarry took 12 years to fill using 6 million cubic yards of dirt from major construction projects in the Bay Area, including the BART extension. BART is our Bay Area Rapid Transit. So including that, they extended BART from Fremont, used to be the last stop when I was growing up, and not that long ago. And then they extended it from Fremont south all the way to San Jose. So that dirt came in there, other dirt construction projects, 6 million cubic yards of dirt from those major construction projects in the Bay Area filled this pit. And then the top 50 feet of dirt was then compacted with a 10-ton weight suspended from a crane. So that's where they've created this RV park, essentially, or mostly RV campground. Most of the sites have all the RV hookups.
Wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah. And then they're doing further construction. They're going to add more campsites. And I suspect that they might be adding more tent sites closer on the western side, closer to the bay. So those sites will actually be overlooking the bay, whereas our sites are on the other side of the hill. You can't really see the bay from the campsite, but I went out on trails and stuff with the dogs, and it was really beautiful. Salt flats. It's not like a beach. You can't actually get down to the beach. It's salt flats, and you can't get down to them, and you're not allowed to be in the salt flats. But very interesting habitat. The water level is really low. There's all these like levees holding the water into these little areas, and then they evaporate out and make salt. I don't think anybody harvests the salt from that area right now anymore. I don't know. But
this must be what we see when I fly in and out of San Jose. You see those.
Yeah. The sort of white cracked part of the bay at the bottom.
So, are those naturally forming, or what is? Is that a natural thing?
Yes, although I think they have been enhanced in some in some areas by the levees to make them, to make the salt more harvestable or more, to kind of time it. Or I'm sure there's some management of it, but it's not like it was wholly created from something that wasn't already like that.
Okay,
the salt flats. I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, some of the history of the Native Americans in the area, they used the salt flats, 1,000 years ago or whatever. So they've been in existence, but they have been managed in some ways. And I don't know if any salt companies are actually using them now, but I do remember that when I was a kid, the salt mining. I don't know if they call it that because they're not digging it out of the ground. It's just on the top of the bay. So that was an interesting trip. We had a good time. The campground was really nice, although it looked a little bit deserty from my pictures because the plants are all small. But I have to say, even though it was really warm in the Bay Area that weekend, that campground stays nice and cool. We had quite the breeze
coming
with the water and the wind.
Yeah, because that coming in off the water is cool.
So the mornings were warm. I would wear shorts and take the dogs out, and by 1 o'clock it was time to put on my long sleeve shirt over the top of my t-shirt to break the wind, or maybe put on a longer pants or something. So it did get nice and cool in the afternoons. Yeah, so it was really fun, and we had guests coming every day that we were there. So that was fun. We got to see my mom and Dennis, and then Robert had invited his family, his aunt and uncle, and cousin to come and visit. And so they came and visited, and that was really fun. And both his Uncle Georgie and Dennis, remember riding mini bikes out in that area, when the quarry was there, and much small, like kind of early in the years of the quarry. So yeah, very fun camping trip, and we're getting ready to head out for another one. Not this week, but next week.
Okay.
So it's been a fun summer with lots of trailer travel.
Yeah, well, and you remember you were like waiting for the trailer to be ready there was quite a delay getting the trailer, and now you're making up for it with all because you've gone on a Black Sheep, and then this is your second camping trip, isn't it? Besides Black Sheep?
No, we went to Mount Madonna before we went to Black Sheep just to check everything out. Yeah. Yeah. So we'll have had this will be the third camping trip of this season, and we'll have one more, so that'll be 4 by the end of August. Okay. Yeah. Okay. At least. So fun. Yeah, fun. It's been really fun. So it sounds like both of us have had some busy days in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, because I had just booked just a weekend, a 3-day weekend trip just by myself to the Washington coast. Just because I felt, and so it'd been so hot here in Seattle that I hadn't really taken him for very long walks, and he seemed bored. I don't know. I just felt like he needed to go to the beach. So I booked the weekend just on my own to go we usually go to Seabrook, but I did not go to Seabrook, near there. I think it's about 4 miles south of Seabrook was where I went, but, it was nice, and so then I came home, and then I was surprised. Then I had another trip because of with Kim was unexpected. So
her sister's cancellation. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. And I don't know. Did you see the pictures that I posted on Instagram? Did you see look at any of those? It was. I thought it was really interesting. The first day I ran into a woman who lives in Cannon Beach, and said that they were expecting a very low tide the next day. So Kim and I made a point of getting up and being down there early. I think we got down there about 10 to walk out to one of the rocks. So I will say the Oregon coast is a little bit different than the Washington coast, and it seems like there's a lot more sort of rock formations out along the shoreline. Yeah. And so the tide was really low, so we could actually walk out around some of the rocks that are normally they're not covered with water, but the waves go. Yeah, they're out in the surf. So anyway, this one rock, and I posted pictures of it. It was there's actually a tunnel that goes through it, so you can walk through the rock.
Oh, that's cool.
And that was really fun. But it was also just so interesting to see all the different crustaceans, and there were. I'm drawing a blank. What are the blue shelled creatures?
Mussels.
Mussels. Thank you. Mussels. And I usually, when I see them, they're about 1.5 inches long, and those would be the kind that you would eat. These, I swear, they're like 12 inches long. They were massive. I don't know if you would eat one of those. If you did, you'd have to eat it with a knife and fork, not just like, how you normally just take a fork and pull it out and eat it in one bite. It would. I'm sure they would be tough. I don't know, but they're massive. I've never seen them so big. And then all kinds of barnacles and sea urchins or sea anemones, with it. They close up when they're out of the water, and then when they get water, they all open up with all these little tentacles kind of. And, but the thing I was most surprised at was starfish. And there had been something has happened to our starfish population, because I know in Puget Sound, most of them are gone. It used to be, you'd see hundreds of them on, like docks. When the tide would go out, you'd see them. And I haven't seen a starfish in years. And I was really happy to see that on the rocks there was tons of starfish on these rocks, waiting for the tide to come back in. So that was really encouraging,
cool.
that the population seems to be coming back. But, our planet is changing, and things are surviving, and some things are not surviving. So that was really
changing
cool
locations and
yeah. So that was kind of fun.
This is the summer vacation edition of our podcast.
Yeah, really.
We're over 20 minutes in, and we haven't talked anything about.
I know,
except summer vacation.
Should we talk a little bit about projects? Because that's a good segue into projects. I'll just talk, since I'm going to make the segue, I'll talk about my projects. I did take my spinning wheel nice. To the beach. I've been working on the 2 braids that you bought a braid at the Black Sheep Gathering, and I bought the 2 braids. So I have now, and I said in the last time that I'm trying to be very careful and take my time with this and really spin consistently. And so it's taking me a little bit longer maybe than if I'm just, cranking it out really fast. So anyway, I now have 3 skeins, and I wrote down, I have about 753 yards, about 7.1 ounces, about 7 ounces. And I think looking at it, it's probably fingering weight.
Oh, good.
So,
what
and what
been
do I
trying
have?
For? Yeah.
Yeah. And I have, so what did I say? This is 7.1 ounces that I've spun so far. I had a total of 16 ounces, 2 8-ounce braids.
Yeah. So you're almost halfway done. That's good.
Yeah. And it isn't, and I think when I talked the last time, I think I will have more yardage of the silk merino.
Yeah.
This is what I'm betting, I'm guessing. And it kind of looks that way. So anyway, but it's been really nice spinning. I love spinning this fiber. Really, really nice. I like, as you said, the silk merino is really nice to spin. I've really enjoyed that. But even just this corriedale cross that I'm spinning is really nice. Very enjoyable spinning project.
Right.
So anyway, and then my other spinning project, the Manx Loaghton, I've done nothing on that at all. I just kind of really have been excited about this, the silk merino corriedale. So I haven't done anything. And then just to touch on my happiness, the sweater that I'm making, I've made pretty good progress on that. I'm now currently working on the increase for the sleeves. So what I do is I increase, let's see, I do 9 increase rows, alternating, an increase row and then just a straight knitting row with no increases, alternate that. So for a total of 18 rows. And then I just knit straight for 7 inches. And then I'll start doing the short rows for shaping the shoulder. And I should say, after I do these increases, then I will put the back on hold and just work on the front and do like 7 inches to shape the sleeve, and then do the short rows for the shoulder. And then I'll go back and pick up the back and do the same thing, according to the instructions. So, and so far, no mistakes that I know of.
That's good. Knock on wood, Marsha.
Yeah, knock on wood. But I find I'm working on it right now as we talk, and I'm really like knitting with this yarn, and it makes me very happy. And it's appropriately named colorway and pattern happiness. So I'm really, so that's it for me for projects. I don't have a lot. This is a little bit of a divergent from knitting projects, but there was one other project that my brother and I have been working on here at the house. And Kelly, you know this. I'll make this brief, but we still had my mother's 1968 Ford Custom 500. It was a big 4-door sedan that she was 2 years old when she bought it. In 1970, she bought it from an aunt of mine, the wife of one of my dad's brothers. And we've had that car ever since 1970. And my brother took it over, and he drove. It was his daily driver for a long time. And then he's moved on to other daily drivers, but that car just stayed because I have a 3-car garage. And I will talk a little bit about the dangers of having a 3-car garage here in a second. But anyway, it was time for that car to go. But it was in excellent condition. There's a little bit of rust on it, but it ran really well. The body was straight, and as I say, just 2 spots, little tiny spots that had some rust, but otherwise in really good condition. My brother had actually had a new interior put in the car. And so he just didn't want to post it on Craigslist and just find anybody. Yeah. So there's a website called Bring a Trailer, and it's sort of like eBay for car collectors is the way I see it. And so he had a photographer photograph the car, and he posted it up, and then it went up for auction, and it sold. But the funniest thing is the person who bought it lives 1.5 miles away. And this is like an international website, I think, but somebody 1.5 miles away bought it, this young man, 30 or so, and he is beside himself with joy getting this car. He was so excited. His friend drove him over because, of course, you need someone to drive you to pick up the car. Yeah. And the friend drives a Tesla. And I said, clearly you're not into old cars. And he said, no, I like the new technology. He was not interested in this old thing. Anyway, this young man bought it, and he's so excited. And it's really nice to know that this car went to a good home, somebody who appreciates it, and not just... because it's going to be garaged. And
I will say that the reason that you still had it is more than just that you had a 3-car garage.
Yes, it was a little bit of sentimental.
Definite sentimentality about that car. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the reason why it didn't go, like when my mother got another car, I think the reason why it didn't go is my brother just took it over as his daily driver. And so it had a lot of miles on it, and the original engine too, but he just maintained it really well. And then I think he drove it till he got his Mini Cooper, I think till 2005, I think.
Well, and I know, like, when we would come visit, that would be what Robert would drive if we needed a car to get around. So, well, that's very cool. It was fun to see on the website.
Yeah, I don't know how long the pictures will stay up there, but I'll put a link in the show notes. So if people want to look at the car, and it looked great. And there's some videos because some people want videos of a cold start and etc. But I would say sentimental. My brother and I are getting up there now, but this is the car that we learned to drive on. And it's so funny. My father, being the teacher, could not take us out driving. He was terrible at teaching us to drive. So it was my mother who took us out. And so there's lots of experiences in that car, and many trips to California, many trips to the Oregon coast. And Mark had made the decision he was going to sell it, found the website. He went and, got it he had to wash it and everything for it to get it ready for the photographer. And so when he washed it, we decided to go for a ride in it. We just went about, we drove it a mile, maybe 2 miles or something. And I said, we both agreed, this is the right decision. No air conditioning. It's a little herky-jerky, the accelerator, the transmissions. It always was that way. Ford, kind of a clunky transmission. And we were just riding around in it, and we're like, cars are so different today than they were in 1968. You had to actually drive. I mean, you had to keep it on the road, kind of. They drifted a bit, and cars aren't like that now, And so it's just completely time. So anyway, the car's gone. I'm going to say something about a 3-car garage. I'm like, oh my goodness, I now have an entire bay that's it's almost free of stuff, and I'm going to, and because my dream garage, this is my dream garage, that the only thing in the garage is the car. That's never going to happen. Like, that is just not realistic. No. It's never going to happen. And so I was so like, oh, yay, and so yesterday, Ben is home for summer vacation. And yesterday he went over to the rental house where the renters have access to, obviously, the house, but they don't have access to the garage because all of his tools were in the garage. And guess what he started bringing to the dump in the empty bay? His tools.
Lovely.
So it's a never-ending battle to have a clean garage.
Have space, will fill it.
Yes. So, yeah. Anyway, so that's it for projects for me, Kelly. How about you?
All right. Well, right now I'm knitting on a hat, a charity hat. And do you remember the Youthful Fiber CVM that you sent me?
Yes.
Maybe you don't remember. When you went to Youthful Fiber, or maybe it was at, maybe it was, you bought it at a fiber festival. But anyway, I had a skein of Youthful Fiber.
I did go to her shop in Oregon, but then also she was up at Fiber Fusion once, I think.
Okay.
And
so one of those, one of those 2 places, you bought me a skein, and I had not used it. And I thought, I need to make a hat. I needed some knitting for the camping trip because, I brought my spinning wheel. I'll talk about that too, but I needed some knitting. So, if we were sitting at the picnic table or whatever, I'd have something to do if I wasn't able to spin. And so I thought, I'm going to grab this and make a hat. And I made one hat that I really like that I think I'm going to keep. And then I thought with the leftovers, I would make a charity hat. I'm kind of running out. So I'm going to need to stop now because I'm going to need to make it look intentional, the addition of another color. But I have some samples of natural yarn from somewhere else that if I can find them, I'm going to incorporate into the hat. I think it'll be really pretty. I mean, I could incorporate my own hand spun too in there, but I don't have any at the moment because I've used it all up of the right size. It's like a worsted.
Yeah.
Hat. So I have completed one hat from that yarn, and I'm about halfway through the other one, and I can tell I'm not going to have enough yarn to completely finish it. So there's that. I don't have that in the show notes. I'll have to add it in. And then my spinning. Well, so I have a little bit of a sad story to tell. Yeah. I think it's going to be okay. I will preface it by saying I think it's going to be okay. I think I can make the repair that I need to make.
I'm sort of chuckling because you used the word "I think."
I know. I think it'll be
we've
fine.
Had this discussion.
Yeah, I'm a little scared about this, but as we were packing up the trailer to go on the camping trip, I was taking the wheel out, and that tripod part of it that you flip back. So I had that flipped back because I was carrying it and I was going to put it in the truck. I took it out. I set it down on the porch in the side, in the porte cochere area, the side of the house. I set it down on the porch, and the dogs were so excited about, hearing the trailer being hitched up and the truck getting ready to leave and all of that, that they don't usually barge out the door, but they're starting to come out the door. So I quickly turned around to, correct them and get the door closed. And my wheel fell, like just tipped off the porch. And I was like, oh no. So I got it. I looked at it. Okay. It was fine. I didn't see any damage. And then I brought it out to the backyard to get it into the truck. And that was fine. And then I went to lift it up, and the dovetail joint, one of the dovetail joints had been knocked out. And, it's glued. So there's
of which part
of the flyer,
wheel?
Of the flyer. So like normally I just put my hand under the flyer and I carry it that way. And I did that, and it just kind of bent apart. And I'm like, oh no. So I quickly was able to put it back. It didn't pull all the way off. But what had happened was when it tipped, it knocked against the flyer kind of sideways, knocking that piece out of its dovetail joints.
Okay.
So I slid it back in and taped it all up, because I thought, I want to still be able to spin on it. I think I can. And then I taped it so there was no way that I could actually accidentally lift it from the flyer again and do more damage. So it's all taped up, and I've been really careful about, only picking it up from other parts and not putting any pressure on those joints. But I have to re-glue that. And so, yeah.
Is this something that do you think you can do it, or do you need to have like a woodworker do it or something?
No, I think I can do it because it all just fit back in where it was supposed to go really nicely. And I have a syringe for cleaning my pens. It's like a blunt tipped syringe. And so I can use, and it's pretty small. If I can get the wood glue to go through it, I think I can get wood glue everywhere I need to go without having to really move anything, or not move it much. So that's what I'm thinking that I'm gonna do but I haven't gotten the courage to actually try it yet. But meanwhile, it's taped within an inch of its life, and there's no way for that place that's not secure to move. It's really taped down. So hopefully I'll be able to get that done. I just need to get the courage to do it. But it was like, one of those like heartrending things when you see this happen in slow motion, and it's like oh no, it was bad. Yeah. But I think it will be okay. I think I'll be able to I think I'll be able to do the repair. Yeah. So
yeah. And anyway, it does. Do you guys have like clamps or anything?
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. Yeah. I have the wood glue. I have the clamps. I have the syringe that I think I can use. I don't know if the glue would be too thick to go through the syringe, but I think it will. That's what I haven't tested yet. I want to test to make sure that the wood glue would actually go through the syringe, because it's pretty small. I mean, it's blunt. It's not a needle, but still, it's pretty small. So anyway, I will keep people posted on how that process goes. But I have been spinning. I actually started plying on the camping trip. I started plying the black Shetland, which is not exactly black. It's more like brown, but it's kind of a gray brown. And I've got about 430 yards, and I'm probably a little more than half done, maybe not quite half done, around half done. Okay. So I've got 2 skeins finished but not washed, and they total up about 430 yards. I've got another bobbin almost completed. I almost completed plying it. I don't quite have it ready to come off the bobbin yet. So that'll be a 3rd skein. And then I have about half of the carded bats left. So I'll get quite a bit. I would say I'll probably have I don't know, maybe 1,200 yards, something like that. It's nice. It's silky. It's not washed yet, so it's still a little bit sticky and dirty, but it's nice and silky. And it's about, I don't know, I want to say it's about worsted weight. It's a 3-ply. So, and then meanwhile, as a break from spinning, I was picking the Wensleydale Cormo fleece, and then I started carding it. So I'm about half done with the carding. Maybe more, maybe not half done, because when you pick fiber, it gets a lot bigger. So, and I thought I had 3 pounds, but the card on my bag says 26 ounces. So it's not as much as I originally thought I had. I don't know why, but I don't know why I thought I had 3 pounds of it. Maybe I was just thinking of the Shetland that was also 3 pounds. So, but the bats are so nice. The fiber is really long. So Wensleydale is a long wool, and the locks of a Wensleydale, of course, could be, 7-8 inches long. And then a Cormo is more like a merino, and the locks are short. So and fine, and with a fine crimp. And so the combination of those two, the fiber has the crimp of the Cormo. It's not quite as fine as a Cormo would be, but it's a lot finer than a Wensleydale would be. So it has the crimp and the fineness of the fine wool and the length of the Wensleydale. So not quite, not 7 or 8 inches, but like 4 inches long.
Wow.
The locks are really long. Well, and then when you I'm just going to say, you sent me a picture of it last night, the bats. It's really nice. They look, the characteristics of the bat are the characteristics of fine wool. Really dense and really crimpy and puffy, and whereas like the Shetland was more like a long wool, and those locks weren't even as long as 4 inches. They were more like 3.5 on average, I would say. Maybe 3 to 3.5 on average. So that's not super long. It's not as long as this, but it had more of the characteristics of a long wool, being silky, and the bats didn't hold together super, they hold together, but they don't hold together super well. They're not really dense. And so it's really interesting to see the characteristics of this Wensleydale Cormo cross fleece. And I'll be eager to see how it spins up. I think it's going to spin up a lot like a fine wool. And it's really clean. It's really clean. It's cleaner than the Shetland was. And the Shetland was cleaner than the last one I did, which was that Columbia that was full of vegetable matter. So it's going to be really nice and fun and fast to spin. I think that's my hope. There are some noils in it. I tried to be really slow with the carding because I didn't want it to tangle. That's one of the things that can happen with the fine wools, is that they are so springy that as they're carding, when they come off the card, if they come off too fast, if you're carding too fast, when they come off the carding cloth, it like springs back and then creates a tangle. And so I've been trying to go really slowly and try to keep the fibers aligned as much as possible. So I'm not making bats with the idea that the fibers are all going to be all jumbled. I'm trying to feed them in lengthwise, and keep them all nicely aligned. So I won't know until I actually start spinning how successful I am, but they look pretty good. I only have put them through the carder twice, and I don't think I'm going to put them through a third time like I usually do. Again, because the more with the finer wools, you have the chance of creating tangles through the carding process that weren't there originally. So
yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. And then I have a project kind of in mind. I don't know when I'll start it, but I've been thinking about this. And I think it will go pretty fast. There's a fleece in my garage that's a Wensleydale crossed with Lincoln from way back in 2003. And I've made yarn with it. I made yarn and I gave it to Aunt Betty for a vest that she's.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. That she's been working on, but she said the fiber gets in her nose and itches her eyes, and it's, I'm not sure she'll ever finish it, honestly. She wanted it because the fiber reminded her of her dog, the wolfhound. So I made the yarn for her, and I've made some felt from it, and the felt is beautiful. It makes beautiful felt. But I think what I'm going to do with the rest of it is make one of those rugs where you just weave in the locks, because it's all in locks. The lock structure is all there, and I think I'm just going to weave the locks into a rug, and then I'll use those. They make really good rugs for the dog to go on top of the dog pillow, or like rugs to put on the ground. Put on the ground in camping. So I'm gonna, or maybe inside the trailer, on the floor of the trailer for camping. I don't know, but I think that's what I'm gonna do, is make dog rugs out of them. Out of that, and I think I have enough. I'm pretty sure I have enough, and if I don't, I have other long wool fleeces that I can pull from to supplement. So that's what I'm thinking that I'll do, and that will get rid of another fleece that's been hanging around for 20 years.
Yeah.
I think it's time. If you haven't finished the fleece up in 20 years, you should probably just find something that will use it fast. And that kind of a project, it does use it up pretty quickly. And it goes quickly, too, because you're weaving something that's really thick. It's kind of like using, super chunky yarn, it knits up really fast. And so these things will weave up, these rugs will weave up really fast too. So,
yeah. Well,
so
that'll be nice.
Yeah. That's my current and future projects.
This has been, for you, it's been the summer of using up or processing some of these fleeces that you've been.
Yeah. It's been my theme pretty much since January, the using up stuff, since I laid out all the yarn on the floor and started
and so
eating
is
the
that
elephant
sort of the idea?
one bite at a time.
Yeah. And is sort of the idea you're trying to do all this with these before you start the new fleece, the California Red?
Yeah, I'd like to get the 2003. I think I might not spin, the two fleeces that I have bats. So the Shetland, I think I'm going to finish that one. My original plan was that maybe I wouldn't finish spinning it all, but I wanted to get it all carded into bats, and I did that. But now that I've gone so far in the spinning, and I like the yarn a lot, I think I am going to finish that yarn up. But the Wensleydale Cormo, I just want to card it, get it all carded, and I am going to spin some of it because I want to see how it comes out. But I don't have the goal to spin all of it. So I'll spin some of it and see. Because I even thought maybe I'd like to card in some of that mohair, or card in some of the mohair, or card in some silk, or card in some, what do they call that in the ice cream? Not the toppings, but the mix-ins. Mix-in,
yeah.
I was thinking with that Wensleydale Cormo cross that I would use some mix-ins. So I think I've got 9 or 10 bats, and so I think I'm done. I think I'm going to be done with those bats, and I will spin some of it and see what I think, and then the rest of it, I might even comb some of it, although I don't know. But I'd like to clear out that bag of fleece too, and have it be processed in some way, shape, or form, processed during the spin-in. I might not get that far, but that's kind of my goal.
Mm-hmm. Wow. You're getting a lot done.
Yeah, I'm
It's
not
good.
getting a lot of housework or yard work, or there have been many days that the dogs don't get a walk because I've been so fixated on this, on my spinning and fleece preparation and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So Robert's been working hard to get the trailer ready for all our trips and cleaning it all up and getting it covered when we get back. And I've been shirking responsibility.
Well, it's summer vacation. So.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. You have permission. Also, it's the summer spin-in. You have to do this.
That's right. That's right.
You know, because we have a contest going on. So
yeah, and it's a kind of it's kind of a good incentive. And I've been trying to get, I have been trying to get the leftovers and of things, you know, get them done and get some of the fleeces out of my garage that are the oldest. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I'm feeling good about my progress on things. I just don't have a lot of different things to talk about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't have very many things to talk about either. Too.
You've been pretty. We've both been pretty monogamous on our
monogamous. Spinning. Yeah. So anyway, Is that it for projects?
Mm-hmm. That's it.
I will say, well, the spinning is a good segue to talk about the summer spin-in. So that is, as we have been talking about in every episode, that's still going on. And that ends September 5th. And if you are on Instagram and you're posting pictures, you can use the hashtag SummerSpinIn2022. And we've had some more prizes to add. Do you want to talk about that or?
Sure, yeah. So we've already talked a little bit about the prizes that were donated. We have an alpaca sample fiber set from Kathy Straight Fork, and also she's donating a pint of maple syrup for a prize. And then Dagmar gave us the Shibui yarn hat kit. That's real pretty. Mm-hmm. That yarn is really nice. And now we have 2 new prizes, one from Sarah, Salpal 1. She's donating a 3-ounce braid of hand-painted wool flax blend in a colorway called Key West from a company called Purple Fleece. And she said she doesn't think Purple Fleece is still dying. But I did find a little picture of this braid on Ravelry. Mm-hmm. It's the yellow and taupe color of a sunset, kind of the bay and then the sunset above it. And so it's got kind of gold and a sort of looks like a kind of a purpley brown color. So that is a nice, a generous gift from Sarah to join the generous gifts from Kathy and Dagmar. And then Marsha, you've donated something.
Yes, I have. A couple of years ago up at Fiber Fusion in Monroe, Washington, I bought a breed study fiber kit from Fleber Farms. And so I'm going to donate that. And I believe there are, I don't have it here in front of me, but I think, Kelly, there was 32 different.
Yeah, I think I remember you talking about it being 32 ounces total.
Yeah, so 32 breeds represented in this box. And so I'm going to donate that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That'll be fun for someone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think it's really fun. I bought it because I wanted to do it, but I've decided I'm not going to do it. I'm going to pass it on to someone else. So,
all right.
Yeah. So, cool. Just a reminder, September 5th, and there is a discussion thread in our group, and there's also a finished object thread.
Yeah.
So,
and we'll be drawing prizes from both of them, and then also from the hashtag, the Instagram hashtag.
Kelly, anything else?
No, I don't think so.
This is a lot of summer vacation talk, and
I know. Well, it's summer vacation time, right? It's almost time to go back to school. Yeah. I have 3 more weeks. That's all I have left. Exactly 3 weeks from today, I'll be back in school. I'm feeling like 3 weeks is glorious because the kids are going back to school in our area this week.
Well,
my grandniece and nephew are back to school already.
Okay, because that's what I thought, that your niece had posted a picture of him. It was the first day of school. And I'm like, what?
Wednesday was the first day of school. Yeah.
It's crazy.
I know. It was like August 2nd or something. Yeah.
Well, Ben is here with me for the summer, and he doesn't go back to school. Of course, he's at the university level, but and the quarter system. So he goes back to school the end of September.
Right. Yeah, the quarter system starts late. Well, I'm really enjoying the longer summers that we're getting from our 16-week calendar. It's a little more intense during the semester to get everything that we were doing in 18 weeks now done in 16 weeks. But I have to say, at this point in the year before the 16-week calendar, we would have been going to school probably next week. Yeah. So I get one more camping trip. We're going to the Vintage Camper Trailer Boot Camp.
Woohoo.
So
That'll be fun.
We'll be camping at, it's an RV park. It's not the woods or anything. We'll be at an RV park, and Robert will be taking classes, and I'm just the plus one. So I get to go to the meals, but I'm not doing any of the classes or anything. I'll be hiking with the dogs and spinning, yeah, because there's a timeline here, so there's a deadline. Or maybe I'll bring my drum carter. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, I guess we'll say goodbye, and we'll talk in 2 weeks.
All right.
All right. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much for listening. To subscribe to the podcast, visit 2usfiberadventures.com.
Join us on our adventures on Ravelry and Instagram. I am Better in Motion, and Kelly is 100 Projects.
Until next time, we're the 2Us
doing our part for World Fleece.